YouTube, I'm back again today for another game review. And today I'm very excited to check out Ticket to Ride New York from Days of Wonder. This is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 plus, will take about 10 to 15 minutes to play. And Ticket to Ride New York is a spin-off of the immensely popular Ticket to Ride game, which is a 45-minute to 1-hour game about connecting trains from different spots on a map. But since then, they've spun to Europe and Japan and China and all sorts of different locations. This one, they tried to make into a 10 to 15-minute family-friendly game of New York City. Did they succeed? Let's open it up, and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Ticket to Ride New York City. So first and foremost, we have our handy-dandy rule sheet. It's just this one big page, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. It's very well done. It should have you up and running in no time at all. And if you already know how to play Ticket to Ride, it'll have you up and running even faster. Big thumbs up on the rule booklet. So in Ticket to Ride New York, you're going to be laying down these cards over here in order to build routes with your taxi cab cars. Those taxi cab routes are going to give you points, both for how long they are, but also if you're able to connect certain destinations, like, say, this one, Soho to East Village, will get you 4 points. You'll also get points if you're able to connect to the different spots that are kind of like touristy spots, like the Empire State Building, Chelsea, Times Square. You'll get an extra point for doing that. What am I talking about? Let's go into the opponents. Let's get into the gameplay. So first, everybody's going to get their bunch of cars. They come in 4 really odd colors: yellow, white, light blue, and purple. Personally hate all the colors, but hey, that's neither here nor there. You're going to have the board right here, which will have a layout of New York City. And it's going to have various different destinations. You're going to have to go to those destinations. I'll explain that more in a second. Over here, we're going to have a row of 5 cards. They'll be different colored, and there also are wild cars. Wild cars can be any color you want them to be, but when you take them, you are going to have some restrictions. Last but not least, we have the destination cards. The destination cards are arguably the star of the show in Ticket to Ride because they are a big points or they're big losses of points. So how they work is you have to get from point A to point B by the end of the game. If you do not get from point A to point B by the end of the game, then you lose 6 points, as opposed to if you do it, you gain 6 points. So which one of these you take is very important. But now that we got the components done, let's talk about the gameplay. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to start off with 2 of the car cards right here, and you're going to get 2 destinations. You have to keep at least one of them. So Lincoln Center to Greenwich Village. I like that one, cutting myself right down the map. And then East Village to Soho. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that one, so I'm actually going to discard this one and just keep this card right here. So I tell everybody that I'm keeping 1 card. And now, once everyone's done that, we are ready to start the game. So on your turn, you have 3 choices of things that you can do. The first thing you can do, and the one you're going to do an awful lot, is drawing cards from over here out of the buy row. How this works is you get to take 2 cards, unless, of course, you take a wild. If you take a wild first, you only get to take the wild, and you get to take no additional cards. So I could take this pink, pink, red, green, or you can also take 1 off the top. Now, if you take 1 off the top and it happens to be a wild, that does not count as the rule that you can only take 1 wild. So you know what? I'm going to take... I need 1 green right here, so I'll take 1 green. This immediately replenishes. And then I'll look down my track and I'll see what else might I possibly need. I'm going to need blue and pink, so I'll go ahead and take this pink right here. Now, you may notice that there are some spots that have 2 colors on them. And how that works is, if you're playing at the higher player counts, 1 person can go here and 1 person can go there. But if you're playing at the lower player counts, then if someone takes it, you just kind of put it in the middle to block off the entire route. So next thing I'm going to do, since my turn is over, it went around the board, I'm going to show you how to build a route. So how this works is you're going to take exactly how many cars you're going to need, and you're going to play those cards down and build. So right here, I would need 2 greens. I could do that. Now, I could not build right here because I don't have 3 greens yet, and you can't partially build. You have to completely build in a location. No one else can go from Lincoln Center to Times Square unless they play the 2 blue. And once someone plays 2 blue, that route is completely blocked, which means other people will have to go completely around. So the first action you can do, take cards. The second action you can do is play cards to lay down your cars. The third action you can do is that you can take 2 cards off the top of this one right here, and you have to keep at least 1. So let's see what I got. Oh man, Lincoln Center down to Wall Street. Ooh, oh man, this is what I'm talking about. This is some synergy that I really like right here. So United Nations to Wall Street, I have to go all the way from here to here, which is totally doable. Gramercy Park to Chinatown, I have to go from here to here. And you'll notice I'm probably already going to be taking that route anyway, so I definitely want to hold on to that one. And it all kind of synergizes with my Lincoln Center to Greenwich Village. So I'm going to keep both these cards, and now my goal would be to go from here to here, and from there, connect that to that. So that would be my big strategy for the game. And if I was able to successfully complete all three of these tickets, there's a very good chance I would win, because that would be 18 points right there. Not to mention, I'm going through a lot of destinations which have pennies on them, so I'm going to get those extra points right there. Anywho, you're going to continue to do those three actions, doing one per turn, until someone has either 2, 1, or 0 cards left. Once that happens, everyone, including the person who is down to 2 or 1, 0 cards, is going to take one last turn, at which point you will tally up the score. You'll need your handy dandy tally pad right here. You're going to tally up how many points you got for going from specific locations. So for instance, if you were to go from this Chelsea to Soho, you would get 7 points. All the times you put down a 3 route, you would get 4 points, and all the times you put down a 1 or 2 route, you're going to score 1 or 2 points. Next, you're going to get points for your tickets. Did you successfully complete your tickets? So right now, in this highly unlikely example where I only laid 2 cards, I would be getting -4, -8, and -6, which would be really stinking bad. I would just completely get crushed. Then you're going to see how many of the pennies you are touching, at which point you'll score 1 point for each of those. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game will be the winner of Ticket to Ride New York. And that, in a nutshell, is how the... Alrighty then, Ticket to Ride New York from Days of Wonder. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, 2 to 4 players, restricted player count. Regular Ticket to Ride goes all the way up to 5, so that is a little bit of a bummer. Another con that I have of this game, and you need to know this going into the game, is that it's 10 to 15 minutes. This is a very short filler weight game, which will be a turnoff to some people. And for me personally, that is part of the reason why it's my least favorite version of Ticket to Ride, because one of my favorite aspects of Ticket to Ride is when you get screwed over. When someone takes your route, when a whole bunch of people take your route, and then you have to try and figure out what is the new best way to connect your route, which insanely odd way are you going to go to try and connect these trains. And I love that aspect of the game. That's that is my favorite aspect of the game, and that is kind of taken away in Ticket to Ride New York, despite the fact that the game really does capture the feel of Ticket to Ride, just bullseye. That's one aspect that is not here, because most of the time if you get screwed over in the mid game or towards the end of the game, it's just, you're done. It's just kind of hard to work your way around that because the game is so short, which is a bummer. You can deal with maybe 1 setback, but once you get to 2 setbacks, your game is probably going to be over, which is unfortunate. And here's another comment I have of this game. You can't go into this game just expecting it to put it next to your Ticket to Ride, your Ticket to Ride Markland, and your Ticket to Ride Europe, because it's a different type of beast. I don't feel like this game was designed with the same intention as those games. Because yes, all games are designed to have fun and to bring people together and blah, 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 blah. But this game feels much more like the type of game that you're going to play with children or people who are brand spanking new to the hobby, who you want to try to get into the hobby by playing Ticket to Ride, but you don't quite think they can handle Ticket to Ride. It's really kind of an odd game in that aspect. So that's my biggest con, is that I feel like this is my least favorite version of Ticket to Ride. And oh yeah, the obvious con is if you don't like Ticket to Ride because of the mechanisms, this is not going to change your mind, because it is 100% mechanism-wise Ticket to Ride. Moving on to the pros, I thought Ticket to Ride New York was great, and I will be playing this probably more than the other versions of Ticket to Ride in my lifetime. And here's the big reason why. I work with a lot of kids, and a lot of those kids I know cannot handle that 45 to 60 minute game yet. It's called scaffolding. You have to work your way up to being able to play a game like that. And this is absolutely perfect for that, because I know that I can capture a kid's attention for 10 to 15 minutes. I know that I'm going to be able to teach a kid 3 rules. You have 3 things you can do on your turn. You're either going to take those cards, you're going to lay down those cards, or you're going to take the tickets, which you only do in certain situations. That's it. And after 15 minutes, we're gone. We're done. You can go run around the room, eat marbles, do whatever you need to do, but I have successfully just planted that seed, and you're like, hey, I like Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride fun. Oh, you want to play Ticket to Ride New York maybe next week? Oh, you want to play Ticket to Ride New York next month? And then the month after that, it's like, hey, do you want to try maybe a bigger version of Ticket to Ride? They'll be like, bigger version of Ticket to Ride? Yeah, instead of just New York, it's got all of America. Well, tell me more, Mr. Forrest. That's the conversations that I want to have, and I feel like Ticket to Ride New York is the game that is going to bring along those conversations. I know I've played 2 games of this with my son so far, and I think in a couple more games, my 5-year-old will be able to handle Ticket to Ride. So there you go. That's what I think this game is primarily aimed for people you do not think can handle that game. Now, I think you obviously could make an argument and say, you know, that you could also use this as a lightweight filler game. If you have 3 people, you're waiting for that 4th person, maybe you have 15, 20 minutes, everybody knows how to play Ticket to Ride, you could bust this out. And yes, you could use it in that situation. But as a game night game, I don't think most people are going to play this. Maybe as a couples 2-player game, I think if you like really short 2-player games, this could also work in that situation as well. But for me personally, I'm primarily going to be using this to help get kids into Ticket to Ride and thus into more hobby games. And I think Days of Wonder knocked it out of the park in that aspect, while still being my least favorite version of Ticket to Ride. And the version of Ticket to Ride that I would never grab just on a game night if I'm playing with adults, other adults, I still think this is a great game, and I am going to be keeping it in my collection. But you have to know the restrictions of this game when you're buying the game. So that is Ticket to Ride, New York from Days of Wonder. A great game that is definitely a little bit different from the other Ticket to Rides. Not mechanism-wise, but just in its intent, I think. So there you go. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know, regular potatoes or sweet potatoes, which do you prefer? For me personally, I love both, but I love regular potatoes. They're on a whole other level. Smother those things with ranch and sauce, and oh man, I love me some potatoes. But let me know in the comments below. Regular potatoes or sweet potatoes, which do you prefer? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.